Welcome to a Community Partners interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Jocelyn Dore, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio. All abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Morgan Cooper, who is the founder and executive director for Community Connect Port Colborne. Community Connect is a registered charity that promotes individual health and community wellness by providing barrier-free access to programs in athletics, competition, and other community events. In collaboration with their members, their caregivers, and other organizations, they create resilient communities interconnected by genuine relationships rooted in shared interests. Thank you for joining us today, Morgan.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit more about you and what inspired you to establish Community Connect Port Colborne and to work with individuals with disabilities.
It's an interesting story that goes way, way back. So I'm 43 now, and I attended a very large high school in Brampton, Ontario, where, it was 2,000 students. It was a small city that we attended every day, and we had different groups. So we had the athletes, the jocks, so to speak. You had the cliche bookworms, and you had all the different groups. And it happened that the table that I sat at on every lunch was outside the door to the spec ed classroom, or what was then known, I guess, as a spec ed classroom. So what I got to watch was the students from this special needs classroom interacting with all the different social groups from the school. And what I noticed was any interaction that these students had, the other party walked away lighter. They walked away taller. They walked away different from any brief interaction. So the busy teacher always had a moment to talk to the student about, if they were excited about hockey. The jock group kind of welcomed them into their silly banter. And there's one student in particular that stuck in my brain. If she could disappear into the floor from shyness, she would. And these students who would just genuinely, wave down the hall, good morning, right, loud and unapologetically welcoming. And even this student who would sink into the floor if she couldn't help but, tilt her head, give a little wave, and you could see her smile. And I knew then that this is the group I wanted to be involved in this. I wanted a part of their magic, and the world needed more of this. They weren't trying to do anything. It was completely innate. It was just who they were, and it was their natural impact on those around them. So at that time as well, I wanted all my children to have disabilities. So if I could choose a disability, I wanted to choose Down syndrome. Now, I was 13. When you're 13, you don't actually know really what you're asking for, but that was my present state at that time. And fast forward a number of years, and I traveled to Brazil and lived there for a year. I did a semester in Australia and did my first degree in human kinetics in Windsor, and met my husband, and we were having what we call our deal breaker. I think it was Dr. Phil who coined it, our deal breaker conversation before we decided if we were going to get married. And my deal breakers were, I would always live on a farm. I'd never live in the city. And I would always own a horse, whether or not we could afford it. And we had to adopt all of our children. Now, he had no issue with adoption. It had just never occurred to him before. So he asked if he could think about it for a day, which he did. And he came back and he said, can we have one of our own children first, our biological child first, and then adopt the rest? And I said, great. So that was the plan. We were 22 and we got married, and I went back to school and got a degree in education, and life carried on. And when our son was born in 2011, luck would have it that he was diagnosed with Down syndrome, which was so beautifully poetic. And we were super excited to have him and to watch how he was going to grow and impact the world and all those things. And when he turned 5 or 6, I got involved with Special Olympics in our community of Port Colborne. and became the volunteer community coordinator for that organization. And what I quickly learned was just how limited the community programs were for anyone who learned differently, for anyone who could not conform to even what's considered an inclusive program. So inclusion really means if you can adapt your needs, your abilities, and your skill sets to what's provided, you're welcome to come. But what I was being confronted with is there's this whole demographic in our community of people who can't conform. And for those people, Special Olympics was their only opportunity to connect with their community, connect with their peers, try new things, gain skills like team building and socializing and all that. So I ran Special Olympics for 5 or 6 years by myself for the most part. We had some volunteer coaches, but as at the organizational level in Port Colborne, it was just me. There was just the decline in volunteer labor over the last 30 or 40 years. This is a common story in lots of volunteer-based organizations where there's just not enough help at the upper levels. So what I decided was if I wanted sustainable community programming for my son, who's now 15 next week, if I wanted programming for him into the future, as well as sustainable programming for there's over 100 Special Olympics athletes that we served, I had to create something new. I had to create something that allowed those who were facilitating and advocating and creating these opportunities at an organizational level, they had to be able to feed their families doing it. They're just depending so heavily on volunteers was not sustainable. So in 2024, that's what I did. I founded Community Connect, and we've been going ever since.
And can you tell me about the programs and services you offer?
Sure. So our program calendar is 100% community-based, which means anyone from the community can request a program, whether it's an athletic program, a competitive experience. I'm working on a mechanics program right now, or a series of mechanics type activities, World Singing Day, anything that they desire to experience or an interest they have that they would like to share with others, they can come to me and I will generate that experience for them. And so we have golf and bocce and baseball this summer. We're also having mini golf in the winter, volleyball and art club. And it's really runs the full spectrum of interests.
And can you tell me about the community hub?
The community hub on our website. So my son, like I said, he's turning 15, but a common thread or common story, common frustration that I hear not only from service providers, but from families and even medical professionals is there are lots of great things happening and available in the Niagara region, but nobody knows. So I call it the silo effect. I don't know if I made that up or if everyone uses that term, but it's the idea that really great things are happening, but no one knows where to look. So service providers don't know what's missing in terms of service needs, and caregivers and end users don't know what's available. So I just wanted to provide a space on the website where anybody who serves the community can put their logo, their company name, a little blurb about the service that they offer, and their contact information. Almost similar to a white pages, I guess, if we're old enough to know what the white pages are.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yes, right. It's the white pages. Mm-hmm.
So are there any restrictions to the services at Community Connect Port Colborne, such as age or caregivers or family members only, things like that?
No, and this is what is really beautiful and exciting. And for those who are maybe climbing different mountains or sitting at different tables, they're surprised. it doesn't cost any more, and it's not any more work to provide a program that is truly accessible. And what that means is the only requirement for someone to participate in a truly inclusive program or a Community Connect program is that they have an interest in what it is that we're doing. So currently, our youngest registrant is 6 and our eldest is 83. And for us, it's I call it a truly inclusive environment, which means it's my job as the program facilitator to create an environment and a program that meets or accommodates all the needs of anyone who wants to participate. So maybe that's location, maybe it's group size, it might be materials. It's also accommodating the needs of caregivers and support teams. Things like mandatory attendance. There is no mandatory attendance. You come when you can. And if you can't, shoot me a message so I don't worry about you, but there is no obligation. For those people who are kind of systematically excluded from community programs because of the extra needs that they have, the logistics for those individuals to get through a day or get to a program are so layered that I have to be, or Community Connect has to be ultimately the most flexible. And it just removes pressure from the caregivers and all that sort of stuff. If we're just there to accommodate, and if someone arrives out of breath because they rearranged their whole day to come, that takes from their experience. So we just try to reduce as much stress as we can by I say Community Connect. It's the place where there's no wrong way to do stuff. Right? Whatever success looks like for you, that's what we're after.
Without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What supports were put into place when someone asked for help?
Oh, there's so many. So we have anything from parents calling, and they can often be a little bit guarded because they've been conditioned to not ask because their life experience is there's not enough money, there's not enough volunteers, there's not enough time. And if a request is made in their experience and the answer is yes, it comes with yes, go ahead. In other words, yes, you can have an art program, go ahead and, generate it. But all things created equal, the person who has a family member who is managing even profound needs, those are the people that don't have the time to start something from scratch. So they call me ready to hear and know. So once we figure out what it is that they'd like, and in this individual, they had trouble making friends, they attended kind of inclusive community programs, but it just wasn't the right fit. And what it was decided is that their favorite thing was art, more specifically painting. And they liked groups of 4 or 5 people. So I said, great, we need an art club where we paint. And, no more than 4 or 5 people. And the mom said, but who's going to do that? And I said, I will. And then there's silence, because that's such a foreign experience. To ask for something where nothing is required of them is a foreign experience. Another great one is a gentleman came to us. I've known him for quite a few years through Special Olympics. And he said, can we host World Singing Day? I said, for sure. What's World Singing Day? This is in 2023. And he's explained what it is, and it's been around for a while, and it's the second Saturday in October. And it's a worldwide event where a selected song is recorded and performed by individuals or groups around the world. And you have the option of uploading your performance of this specific song to the website, and the organizers will make a montage. It is a expression of inclusion and acceptance and a celebration of music. I said, for sure we can do that. And that was in the springtime. And he came to me in August, and he said, I can't come. I said, buddy, it's your event. What do you mean you can't come? And he said, I'm presenting somewhere else. And he said, can we do it next year? I said, of course we can. So that was 2025. We hosted our first World Singing Day event. And this gentleman was the leader, and I just supported in the ways that were necessary. And Port Colborne was acknowledged on the international stage through World Singing Day, and it was absolutely beautiful. And this year we're planning a larger event, and we're going to do it all over again. Do you want one more story? You have time for another story?
No, we're probably, yeah, I don't know that we have much time.
It's okay. Go ahead. Sure.
Are there any events coming up for Community Connect Port Colborne?
For sure. So we have our second annual golf tournament, which is hosted at Whiskey Run Golf Course in Port Colborne. They've been supporting inclusive sports, specifically with golf, for over 40 years. A really wonderful family-owned golf course, and that is July the 12th. So we have a few spots left for teams, and that will be on our website, or if anyone interested can certainly contact me. We also host the annual bocce fundraiser, which is August the 8th, in partnership with the Port Colborne Bocce Club. And again, that's a 30-year-old relationship between that club and inclusion. And what else we have? We have a couple more tournaments, and yes, and then World Singing Day in October.
Sounds like a lot of fun. What is one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be, and how do you think it could be stopped?
So the distinction that inclusion does not always equate to accessible. So in the broader society, the perception is that there are inclusive programs, and therefore anyone who is not attending an inclusive program is doing so because out of choice. Right? The opportunity is there. It's an inclusive program. So if they're not attending and getting physical activity and social connection, it's because they're choosing not to. And this is a systematic barrier in that because everyone thinks the problem is solved, the problem just continues. So by providing the barrier-free, in that I take responsibility for adapting the environment to suit anybody who wants to participate, now we have true inclusion. Now we have opportunities where anybody from any background, of any ability or age, has the same access to healthy living and reduced isolation and all the health benefits that come along with that.
If someone wanted to become a member or a volunteer with Community Connect Port Colborne, what is the process for joining as a member and for joining as a volunteer?
So we have a couple of different options. We have some of our programs are drop-in. Most of our programs are free. And if they're not free, then they're less than $30 for a season, right? So we really try to remove that financial barrier. So some of our programs are drop-in, and what that means is you can check out our website or Facebook or contact me directly, and you can just drop in. And there's no registration or anything like that. Just come and enjoy. Those who want to participate in something that's ongoing, like a sport or something like that, then I just provide them with a registration page, and you let me know what you need. Do you need, do you have light sensitivity or whatever? You got to just share with me what I can do to make it a great experience for you, and we go from there. Volunteers can shoot us an email. There's a code of conduct form that we go over, as well as a vulnerable person's police check, and that's it. We do one registration form per year, try and cut down on the paperwork and make it a little easier to get out and try new things.
What is the one thing that everyone needs to know about Community Connect Port Colborne?
When we say everyone is welcome, we mean everyone is welcome. And I also can say that the people that show up to participate are not always those that you expect. So yes, the people who manage an intellectual disability, a physical limitation, behavioral challenge, they're the most consistently excluded from community programs. So yes, they are the first to come and find Community Connect so that they can engage in different activities and meet new people. But about 30% of the people we serve don't have any diagnosis at all. These are individuals who maybe experience some bullying. Maybe they have financial limitations. Maybe they are not marginalized in any way. Maybe they just don't have an interest in competitive sport. So even community sports like baseball or soccer, at a very young age, the atmosphere and skill level does become competitive as early as 10 or 11. So if someone does not have the skill or the interest in kind of that growing intensity, then really there's nowhere for them to play. So they come to us because it's just fun all the time and there's no stress, and we get people who are 60 years old who wanted to try golf because they've never had the chance before. So my commitment is for everyone to have the opportunity to try, and we try and create an atmosphere that is welcoming and inclusive of everybody.
If listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. So our website is communityconnectontario.com, and there we have listed programs and events that are kind of coming up. We also keep a list of the programs that ran the previous year to kind of give an idea of the spectrum of what's available. Also on our website is our volunteer philosophy, which is a little different than many community organizations. They can also give me a call, 289-990-8781, or shoot me a text if that's more comfortable for you, or send me an email, portcolborne@communityconnectontario.com.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again for joining us today. And I really enjoyed learning about Community Connect Port Colborne.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to share what we're up to.
This has been a Community Partners interview on Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time.